Hello, Brooklyn. My name is Barry Bell, Chief Communications Officer at Barclays Center. We are thrilled to announce another great boxing event as we continue to bring the best to Brooklyn. Before we continue, I'd like to mention that at the end of today's press conference, we will have a brief Q&A, followed by a photo op, and then one-on-ones. I'd now like to introduce our first speaker. He has been the major factor in bringing major professional boxing back to Brooklyn. Please welcome the CEO of Barclays Center, Brett Yormark.
Thank you. We appreciate everyone being here today, and we're thrilled to host another outstanding night of boxing at the Barclays Center on Saturday, June 14th. First, I want to thank Richard Schaefer and Bruce Binkow and Golden Boy Promotions, our great boxing partner. They've graciously given us the go-ahead to host this fight card, and we appreciate their vision and commitment for boxing in this borough. On June 14th, we are excited to be bringing the Ruslan, Provodnikov, and Chris Algieri World Championship fight to our ring at Barclays Center. This bout is of particular interest to Nets owner and Barclays Center minority owner, Mikhail Prokhorov. Because of Ruslan and the large Russian community in Brooklyn, Mikhail was committed to bringing this fight to Barclays Center. Of course, we all hope it takes place when the Nets are in the NBA Finals. I want to thank Artie Palullo of Banner Promotions for delivering an exciting card from top to bottom to Brooklyn. I also want to thank Peter Nelson and HBO for making this a Boxing After Dark event and for again putting Brooklyn on a national stage. Since Barclays Center opened, it's been our goal to host World Championship fights while also prominently showcasing the best local fighters. And we're proud to be able to do that on June 14th. In particular, we are delighted to welcome Brooklyn's own Heather Hardy, who will participate in the first professional women's fight at Barclays. In just 19 months, Barclays Center has become the heart of boxing on the East Coast. This will be our 8th major card, but we are also looking forward to hosting the Daily News Golden Gloves tonight and tomorrow. I want to thank everyone again for coming here today, and now it's my pleasure to introduce the man that really made this happen, the president of Banner Promotions, Artie Palullo.
Good afternoon, everybody. I just want to say we are extremely happy to be here. If it wasn't for Brett and his team and all of the people who have been very gracious to us, this event would have not happened here. It doesn't hurt to have somebody who owns a piece of the team who would like to see it here also. So we are very happy and we're looking for a great event. There's a lot of people here that need to be thanked. And Brett had already mentioned it, but I want to mention it too. Golden Boy has the deal here. And I just wanted to thank Oscar and Richard, because when Brett made the call, they were very gracious about allowing Ruslan to fight in Brooklyn in their arena. And to them, hats off to them, because it's very good that we all try to get along with each other. Sometimes things happen, but at the end of the day, they opened their doors to the arena where they have an exclusive deal, so this event could go forward. Next thing I'd like to do is to thank my partners on the card. It's top rank Bob Arum. Bob, hey, Demetrius Andre. Bob is in Israel, so his grandson is having a bar mitzvah, so he won't be able to join us today. So anyway, let's get down to it. The main event, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, is an extremely very good fight. There have been some critics about the fight, but that's the reason why they're critics. 13 months ago, Ruslan Provodnikov was just considered an ESPN fighter until Peter Nelson at HBO and gave him an opportunity. Nobody thought he'd be in the fight with Bradley. Bradley was lucky to get out of the fight, was unconscious during the fight, and I think we won the fight, and he became the star. Now this young fella is another ESPN fighter who Chris is undefeated, so he doesn't know what it's like to lose, which is a very dangerous athlete. He's never tasted defeat. So it's going to be a very difficult fight. It's going to be a pick'em fight. I'm not saying that to hype the fight. It's styles. Styles make fight. We're going to get into that also a little bit more, but it is a very good fight. So they both have to be at their best to do their best job to win. Now, right now, what I'd like to do is introduce some of the people on the undercard before we get into Peter and the co-feature and everything else. There's a young fighter in the card from Brooklyn named Simeon Hardy. I'd like to bring him up. He's an undefeated athlete. He lives in Brooklyn. So, Simeon, why don't you come up and say a few words to your fans?
Thank you. Give another round of applause for Brooklyn, please. It's an honor being here. This is just like a dream come true, just fighting. I want to say thanks a lot to Band Promotions and all the co-promoters promoting this card. I want to say a special thanks to HBO, and you know, I appreciate each level that raises me up and everyone that's involved in it, because it's been a long journey to me being where I am today, and I'm just a hungry fighter trying to make it, and I'm pushing real hard. I want to say thanks to my trainer, my present trainer, because my first fight that I ever had was a card that he kept back home, and I'm here with him, I'm working with him. This is just part of my dream also, and I'm working hard. I want to go get titles, I want to become champion, and everyone will see this. It's so nice to actually see Mr. Letterman in front here, knowing that you've been reading our scorecards and I've been listening to his predictions all the time. So I appreciate it. So I want everybody to come out. Thanks a lot to Barclays Center for being here. I'll be representing Brooklyn to the fullest. And thanks a lot to everyone that will be supporting. Appreciate it.
There's a lot of kids on the card from different promoters, so I would like them to speak on behalf of their athletes. The next would be Kevin Rooney from the Bell Entertainment. The reason we're fortunate enough to have Heather on the card is because he's promoted by Lou, and you know, relationships go a long way. I've known Lou for 20 years, so it wasn't much of a heartbeat, a skip of a heartbeat for him to help us out and put Heather on the card, so thank you for that. Kevin, why don't you come up and talk about both of your athletes who will be on the show on Saturday.
Thanks, Artie, and on behalf of the Bell Entertainment, we just want to thank Artie and everyone at Banner, of course, Jody Guardian at Star Boxing, Top Rank, and everyone at HBO, Peter Nelson, and here, of course, at the beautiful Barclays Arena, for giving our fighters this opportunity. This is a great opportunity for these two young fighters to showcase their talents, what promises to be a spectacular and exciting night of boxing on June 14th. I know Brett touched on it earlier. They're having the Golden Gloves here, finals tonight. Both of these fighters are Golden Glove champions. So again, it's special for them to come back to this arena, where they won their titles and have the chance to showcase their talents in the professional ranks. The first fighter I'm going to call up to say a couple words. He was a standout amateur. He won a number of both regional and national titles on his way to becoming the #1 ranked 152-pound fighter in the U.S. He's currently 3-0 as a pro, and we expect great things out of him for his career. From the Bronx, New York, Chris Golden Galliano.
Good afternoon. I kind of wasn't expecting this, but truly is a blessing, man. 21 years old. It's been a long road, even at that age. And I just want to thank my promoters, Lou the Bell Entertainment, Kevin Rooney, everyone from top to bottom, my managers, Chris Martin and Jesus Kiko Cancel, my team, everyone from top to bottom, giving me every opportunity, believing in me and the potential that I have. And I'm just looking forward to putting on a spectacular show on an amazing card on HBO. Just growing up as a kid, just watching HBO cards and just fighting on the undercard of 2 major championship title fights is just a dream come true. And to fight at the Barclays, I want to thank Barclays and everyone for allowing the opportunity for me to showcase my talents. And I look forward to put in the work in the gym and give everything I can to put on an amazing show. And I surely look forward to putting on a show June 14th at the Barclays Center. Thank you.
they talked about this is going to be the first female fight here at the Barclays Center for Professional. You know, Heather is really someone special to work with. You know, her story has been well documented. You know, there's been featured articles in both the New York Daily News, most recently the New York Times. You know, a single mother who in the past couple of years has lost not only one, but two houses, the first to a devastating fire, the second to Superstorm Sandy. You know, Heather has really fought through it all, and she's the epitome of a fighter. She's a pleasure to work with. Like I said, she's a former Golden Glove champion. She's currently 9-0 as a pro, and she's truly one of the fastest rising prospects, female prospects in all of boxing. Without further ado, I'd like to introduce to you the First Lady of DeBell Entertainment, Heather "The Heat" Harding.
Thank you. Hello. Thank you, Kevin. That was really sweet. First, I'd like to say that it's such an honor and a privilege to be up here talking to you guys, getting ready for this fight. I'm from Brooklyn, and I remember when the Barclays Center was finished, and if you get off the train at Atlantic Avenue, they used to have pictures of Paulie Malignaggi in the train station, and I remember saying, that's going to be me one day. They're going to have my pictures in there. Everyone's going to come to see me fight, and I just can't believe it's happening. Really, a big thank you to DeBella, to Lou, to Kevin, to Ron Rizzo. You guys take such good care of me, so I really can't express enough how grateful I am that you believe in me, that you allow me to showcase my talent and show the world that women can fight too. Us girls ain't going nowhere, guys. Thank you.
Also on the card, I'm going to ask Shawnee to come up. He is the WBC's Continental of America Light Heavyweight Champion. He's 21-0. He's got 14 KOs. He's a top-ranked fighter and just a great kid. I'm very good friends with his manager. So Shawnee will be here on behalf of his manager. Patrick couldn't make it, but Shawnee will be here, and I'd like him to say a few words. Great action kid, great fighter. You're going to love him. Shawnee.
Hello, Brooklyn. Thanks for having me. My manager couldn't make it. We had a long week in Vegas. He's a little under the weather. And I'm just thrilled to be here. This is a huge fight for New York boxing. I'm very happy for Chris Algieri, a good friend of mine for a number of years. I'm very happy to see the great champion Provodnikov fight. And I'm going to come here and do my job and represent. Thank you very much.
Right now, I'd like to just say a few words about, and then ask Peter to join us. As you all know, the fight's on HBO after dark. The broadcast time is 10 o'clock. By a little way, the doors will open at 6, the first bout will be at 7. We'll get into that later, but Peter is the reason why the fight is happening. And Peter is the reason why the Ruslan Provodnikov is on HBO. And Peter is the reason why Chris Algieri is getting an opportunity. And it's always good that the network, Ken Hirschman, Mark Taffet, and Ray, who's here, does the PR. Ray first time met Demetrius Andrade at a party in Las Vegas. And Demetrius loved what he said to him because he made sure he brought it up to me afterwards. He says, welcome to HBO. And that's good stuff. And that's what these kids want, and that's what we need. So the first time Ray saw Demetrius, he shook his hand and said, welcome to HBO. Demetrius made it a point to bring that up to me. He said, Artie, I like that. So the reason why a lot of this happens is because the men at the networks figure out what are the best fights at the right timing of what's going on. And this young fella, and I'm not saying it because he's here, but it's the truth, he loves the sport. And at one time he was a writer, so he's been watching all these guys before him. So I'd like to bring up Peter on behalf of HBO, and he's the reason why we're all having this event here. Besides Brett having it at the Barclays Center, he's the reason why we have the date. Peter Nelson, come up and say a few words, please.
Thank you. I actually wrote that portion of Artie's speech. No, thank you, Artie. That's very sweet. We can't take credit for what these guys do in the ring, what they leave in the gym. what they provide us in terms of entertainment and competition. It's a privilege to be associated with it, and particularly in an event like this. And first and foremost, I do want to thank Artie. You see the number of partners brought together here for this event, not just Banner, Joe DeGuardia, Star Boxing, Brett. It's great to be back at the Barclays Center. I think that world-class venues bring out world-class fights, and the Barclays Center couldn't be a better home to be emblematic of that axiom. We have Top Rank involved in the show. We have Golden Boy giving us access to the venue, which is a great, appreciated move. And we have, who are the other? Oh, we got Lou, obviously. You can't forget Lou. And Heather, by the way, I just want to say I've seen a number of your fights. You're a phenomenal fighter. This young lady can really fight. I will be there at the arena early, and I advise everyone else there to get there early too. So for us, when we had the opportunity first to see Ruslan Provodnikov, we saw one of the great fights of 2013. The first time he came to join us on HBO. In his second fight, he went to fight Mike Alvarado in his hometown in Denver to fight for his world title, and he took his title from him. And now he's back here at the Barclays. There'll be a number of, a large contingent, I imagine, of Ruslan's native Russians in the audience, but it's also a stone's throw away from his opponent's hometown of Huntington, Chris Algieri. It is a rare path for a rare champion, and what we anticipate out of any fighter who's attained that kind of level is that they want to fight the very best. And of all the names that were available and willing to get in the ring against Ruslan, which aren't that many, to be perfectly honest, he's a feared competitor, Chris really stepped up to the challenge. And for those of you who had seen Chris in his last fight against Emmanuel Taylor, who's also a phenomenal boxer, Chris really nullified everything that Emmanuel brought to the table. And when we saw that performance, we saw something special. And we give Ruslan a lot of credit because he could have taken a number of different fights, and he elected to take the best fight out there. And Chris elected to take the toughest champion that he could track down. And those are the kinds of fighters that we believe are emblazoned with the three letters of the network on them. Those are the fighters that we always want to see. Those are the fighters that the fans deserve to see, and they deserve to see them fight each other. And on the undercard, on the televised undercard, we're going to see Demetrius Andrade defending his 154-pound title. He fought in a great fight against Vanes Martirosyan. It was two undefeated American Olympians at the time, going in against each other. You didn't see that very often, and Demetrius really handled him skillfully, and we look forward to seeing the next step there. There's going to be on May 24th the premiere of a series that we do called 2 Days on Ruslan Provodnikov, chronicling the 2 days leading up to his last fight against Mike Alvarado. It is one of the most compelling pieces of television that I've seen recently. We're really looking forward to the fans' reactions to it. It really gets an intimate look into Ruslan's world. I also want to tell Ruslan that we want to provide some hometown weather for him. Actually, in his native Siberia, it's actually 2 degrees warmer today than it is here today. So I want to thank again Brett, the Barclays, Artie, all of our partners associated with the event, and we definitely look forward to seeing you all on Saturday, June the 14th. Thank you.
Thanks, Pete. Now we start with the televised fights. The opening bout will be, as Peter had mentioned, Demetrius Andrade, the 2008 Olympian, undefeated junior middleweight, versus the #1 contender and mandatory challenger, Brian Rose, who is training in the UK. He will be here about 2 weeks before the fight, but he was unable to make this press conference. He is #1, he is undefeated. He has 1 loss. He is the mandatory challenger. A lot of you people, the boxing people don't know him. Very difficult guy, very, very believable guy in his own ability. Just like everybody else, they're all trying to get somewhere. It's a very dangerous fight for Demetrius. It's his first title defense. He is what I think he's going to be, and I believe he is, and so does my partner, Joe DeGuardia, one of the best young fighters in the world today. He's 26 years old. Another guy hasn't tasted defeat. He's 20-0 with 13 KOs. An outstanding amateur. I believe he won the World Championships twice. That's been hard to do for, I don't think people did that, I think 17 years in between that, Joe. So he understands that he has a lot to prove and a lot to live up to. So he just can't win, he has to win well. He has to be TV friendly, he has to be fan friendly. And that's how you get fans, and that's how you grow, and that's how you make money. That's what it's about, for them to make more money. So right now, I'd like to bring up my partner, Joe DeGuardia, who we're partners with Demetrius, so he can say a few words, and then we'll bring Demetrius up to speak. This is Joe DeGuardia from Starbucks.
Thank you, Artie. First of all, I'm up here. Let me just reiterate what has been said by Artie and Peter. It's really a pleasure in boxing, because although a lot of people say that we're out there battling each other and promoters are hitting each other, the truth is, for these big fights that take place, we get together. And on this particular show, I'm pleased that I'm working with Artie, and that Artie put it all together, and that we have Lou DiBella's company here. We have Top Rank, the biggest in the business, along with the other biggest in the business, Golden Boy Promotions, here symbolically. So it's really fitting, and it's also fitting that we're doing it in, I'm from the Bronx, so I'm going to say the greatest city in the world, but we're here in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn is something special. And got to thank Brett Yormark for that, and the Barclays Center. They've really done something phenomenal in boxing over the past couple of years and have catapulted themselves to the top. So it's fitting that this fight's taking place here, and I'm pleased that we're going to be able to showcase Demetrius Andrade here, because I firmly believe that Demetrius is the next star in this game. Years ago, when we signed him out of the Olympics, Artie and I both felt that, and it's coming to pass. He's won that World Championship this past November. He's got his mandatory defense coming up, and I know he's looking for the top in the game. And it's rewarding that he's going to be on June 14th here at the Barclays Center on the best network in the business, Peter Nelson, HBO. So, at this point in time, let me introduce our United States Olympian, United States World Champion, and now current WBO Champion of the World, Demetrius Andrade.
First and foremost, all glory due to the Most High. I appreciate everybody that came out today just to come and hear us fighters speech on how hard we working and all the preparation and the opportunities we get in life. And we just here, we ready to entertain the people, the fans, and also want to thank the Barclays Center, of course Peter Nelson for putting his tall, black, and handsome, charm face on HBO for everybody in the world to see. June 14th is going to be a great night of boxing. You think today going to start off with the WBO World Champion, Demetrius Andrade, that I worked hard for all my life. This is all I did from the age of 6. And I'm here today. Told people when I was 6 years old I was going to make it to the Olympics. I did that. Told them I was going to be world champion. Now I did that. And I'm going to do that for many years to come. And I'm going to give everybody what they've been looking for. I'm gonna take the torch when it's time for the man Mayweather to relinquish his throne, and I'm gonna take over and sit down in it, and I'm gonna be the man to give everybody what they want. I want to thank everybody once again. All glory to the Most High, and I appreciate everybody that came out today.
I think Floyd somebody sent this to Floyd, right? Get it over to him? Listen, now it's the main event. I'm going to bring up Joe to talk about Chris, but I just want to say again that I've never met Chris, I just met him for the first time. And he looks like he wants to win the fight. And I got a feeling it's going to be, like I said, a very difficult fight. And he's a very good fighter, and he knows no defeats. And this is important. I said it a few minutes ago. He's never lost. People who've never lost, they don't know how to lose. So it's a very interesting fight, and it's going to be a very competitive fight. And in my opinion, it's a pick-up fight. So I'm going to bring up Joe to talk about his fighter, because Joe knows everything about him. Joe has been with him for years. So Joe, you and Chris.
Thank you, Artie. Well, first let me say that it's going to be great sitting next to Artie during Demetrius' fight. But during the main event, it might be a little difficult. So, we'll be sitting next to each other. We're good friends, Artie and I, and we're going to say good luck. But just like the fighters that say good luck before the fight, I don't know if you really mean it. So, I'm pleased that we were able to make this fight. It actually came apart pretty swiftly because Artie and I do business together, and it was easy to make a deal. One of the great things about this particular fight, though, is it's literally a clash of styles. Ruslan Provodnikov is probably the toughest guy in the business, and we know that. We know he's tougher than nails, the Siberian Rocky. You know, Brett mentioned the fact that the Golden Gloves are taking place here tonight. I think back, it's been more years than I want to remember that I won the Golden Gloves. And I remember the night that I was fighting, it was pretty similar. It was a boxer versus a puncher, a mover versus a brawler. And that's what I see going to take place on June 14th. It's the classic matchup of styles. And it's really rewarding that when you're looking at what's going to take place inside the ring, I also look outside the ring. And outside the ring, you have, you know, the perception of that Siberian tiger, rough, tough. You know, you think about Rocky working out in the Rocky IV movie, you know, working in the snow the whole bit. And juxtaposed to that is a man I've been working with for the past number of years and has been selling out every show that we've done at the Paramount. And Chris Algieri is what you would not expect in a boxer outside the ring. Because outside the ring, he's really been something else. He's excelled at every single thing he's done. Not only was he a martial arts, I'll say, kickboxing champion, world champion in the professionals, who turned up to boxing and came into boxing without any amateur background after winning the kickboxing championships that he won. But he also excelled in school. Graduate of Stony Brook College, seeking his medical degree and put his medical studies on hold while pursuing his boxing career. And he's been phenomenally successful at his professional boxing career. Undefeated at 19-0, he really has learned his craft. And as I mentioned, he has been instrumental in us developing the Paramount out in Huntington, because that's where he's from. That's the reason why I went there in the first place. And has turned it into a real boxing venue, and ultimately leads to being in the premier spot in boxing. Barclays Center, HBO. And I believe that Chris is ready for this fight. That's why we're putting him in this fight. He's done the things that he needs to do to develop to get to this stage. And as Artie had mentioned previously, a couple of years ago, Ruslan was looked at as an ESPN fighter until he got in the ring with Bradley and showed what he had. I believe the same thing's going to happen on June 14th. I believe that Chris has developed up the ladder, and you know, in his last fight on ESPN, he was sensational in beating a guy that was really highly regarded in the sport, Emmanuel Taylor, number 3 ranked in the world. And I'm looking forward to June 14th. As a boxing purist, somebody who grew up in this sport, I love the idea of seeing the two clashes of styles. And styles make fights, and I'm looking forward to seeing Chris Algieri prevail at the world championship level as he has in everything else in his life. So I'm going to introduce now somebody I'm very proud of, undefeated, and hope soon to be future WBO world champion, Chris Algieri.
Hello, everybody. First of all, I'd like to thank all the promotions that were able to make this this fight possible. You know, Artie Palullo, Banner Promotions, who I just met, Joe DeGuardia from Star Boxing, Top Rank, And to also thank Golden Boy for allowing us to use the Barclays Center, which is such a beautiful place. And of course, to thank HBO, which is a real dream to be fighting for and under. And I'd also like to thank the champion, Ruslan Provodnikov, for accepting this, this fight and taking on the challenge that is myself. Like Joe just said, a couple fights ago, Ruslan was in a similar position to where I'm at. He wanted a big chance. He had an opportunity, and he jumped at it. And that's exactly what I did. This fight came up. The opportunity was there. I jumped at it. So this is a grand, opportunity for me. Something that I'm really looking forward to. Something that I'm ready for. My team knows that, and I think anyone who knows me and knows my style and knows the way that I prepare for fights knows that I'm ready for this fight. And June 14th is going to be my coming out party. Thank you all, and best of luck to everybody.
7 years ago, I got on a plane and went to Moscow. And I was taking a flyer. I've met some Russian promoters through some television people I have business with over there. So I get on a plane, I land in Moscow about 9 o'clock in the morning, and they're in the lobby, maybe 10 o'clock. And they're in the lobby, and they're drinking vodka. And I said, well, let me go up and change. I'll come back down. No, you gotta talk now. I said, all right, no problem. So I'm just on this 14-hour flight. And those who know me know I like to have a drink at 9:30 in the morning, and I like cigars. So I now sit in the lobby for 5 hours with these men. And they're talking about all these different fighters. And they all want to give me their fighters to bring them back to America to bid on ESPN. It's a good 7 years ago. One of the fighters is with my partner in Russia, German Titov. It's Ruslan Provodnikov. And I don't know Ruslan. I don't know German. I mean, I'm just over there trying to pick up fighters, trying to create a new market. So I now start bringing him over to the United States. And he starts fighting on another fighter who I developed from scratch, Acelino Popo Freitas, the Brazilian star. He's now on his undercards. His first fight, Freitas comes to me after the fight, he's watching the fight. He says, Artie, you got something here. Russell Peltz, my matchmaker at the time. Artie, you got something here. Then he starts fighting on Ricky Hatton cards when I brought Hatton to America. And then I was able to convince ESPN to give us an opportunity with a kid who does not speak English and is not Spanish. So I said, I need to get this kid developed. Well, he became something special. And he worked his butt off. He had a loss prior to the Bradley fight. He won the fight, but he lost the decision to Herrera. It didn't discourage him. It made him more focused. At the time he lost the fight, we all believed he won, but he lost the decision. And he took it the right way. He lost. So what does he do? He goes out, him and Vadim, they find Freddie Roach. They get focused on their life. He gets focused on his job. And now he is what he wanted to always be. He comes from a small town in Siberia. And his family means everything to him. Because if you saw the last fight on HBO, the only thing he could say, he was screaming his mom's name after he won the fight. And he is the epitome of what the sport's about. To allowing kids, if you have the talent, to take it all the way to the top and have the tenacity and the determination and the focus and the heart and all of the skills that you need, like you can't train, you can't drink, you can't do drugs, you have to work out all the time, you have to constantly be on. And he is the epitome of somebody reaching that dream. We would call it the American dream. Well, it's the Russian dream. So now I would like to introduce you to somebody that has, he invited me to Russia, to his hometown. I'll tell you a quick story. My wife didn't want me to go. The moment he told me the gas froze in the lines of the car, and they had to push it, he says, Artie, you'll die there. So I said, I'm going to go in the summertime. He pushed the car to get to the train station to go make one of the fights. Ruslan Provodnikov, the WBO junior welterweight champion. Becky, Barclays Center. Come on up. Come on up, Becky. You see me in Russia at 35 below?
Hello, Brooklyn.
заметили, что я без титула, вы не удивляйтесь этому.
You guys probably noticed I don't have my title with me. Don't be surprised.
Так как я не могу привыкнуть, что я чемпион, постоянно про это забываю.
I can't get used to being a champion. I just keep on forgetting.
Наверное, это хорошо, так как именно это меня делает голодным.
But probably it's a good thing because I think it still makes me hungry even now.
Вы, наверное, обратили внимание, в каком у меня одеянии и в какой я прекрасной рубашке.
If you guys took notice, you saw what I'm wearing. It's a special shirt.
Это моя национальная рубашка, которую для меня шил мой народ вручную специально для меня. Я им благодарен за это. И я всегда говорил, что именно народ и фанаты делают меня таким, какой я есть.
The special shirt was made for me. It's a part of our nationality, part of our Monsi group, and my people made it for me as a gift. It's handmade by my people, and they wanted me to wear it whenever I'm out. And you know, people wear this outside on the street over there. So for me, it means a lot.
Я очень рад, что этот бой будет проходить в такой замечательной арене. Надеюсь, что эта арена для меня станет счастливой. Мне бы хотелось поблагодарить людей, которые помогли это сделать. Это директор этого центра, это Сергей Кущенко, Михаил Прохоров.
I'm very glad to be fighting here. To be honest with you, it's a big honor, big pleasure to be fighting in this beautiful arena. I want to say thank you to the people that helped make this happen. It's the director, Brett Yormark. It's Sergei Kushenko, Mikhail Prokhorov. I very much appreciate the support.
Ну и, конечно же, я хотел бы поблагодарить HBO, которые когда-то мне дали этот шанс выйти драться в звании чемпиона мира. И, конечно же, хотел поблагодарить Питера Нельсона, который меня как-то полюбил и очень хорошо ко мне относится. Это очень приятно.
And I also want to say a big thank you to HBO. You know, you guys have been treating me very well. It means a lot to me. Peter Nelson, who's here, you know, he's become a close friend to me, and he shows a lot of respect, and you know, feels like he likes me, which is great. It's a great feeling.
Безусловно, я благодарен своему промоутеру Арти Пилула, который сделал для меня много, и именно благодаря ему я, в частности, нахожусь сейчас здесь, в ранге чемпиона мира.
Most importantly, I want to say thank you to Artie Pilulo, the president of Banner Promotions. He's done a lot for me. He's the reason why I'm here. He's the reason why I'm champion. He's the reason why I'm standing here right now.
Многие меня боятся, хотя я не понимаю, чего меня бояться. Посмотрите, разве меня можно бояться?
Everybody says people are afraid to fight me. People are afraid of me. I don't understand why. If you look at me, I mean, do you think you could be afraid of me?
Я благодарен Крису, что он разглядел во мне хорошего, доброго парня и согласился на этот бой.
I'm very thankful to Chris for noticing the good side of me and taking this fight.
Надеюсь, что для него этот бой станет очень большим и хорошим, как для меня когда-то стал бой с Тимоти Брэдли.
And I hope this fight would be a good step for his career. Maybe a fight that means a lot for him, like the fight against Timothy Bradley was for me.
Я желаю ему и его команде удачи и буду каждое воскресенье в церкви молиться за него и ставить свечки, как всегда, чтобы он вышел в ринг в здравии, чтобы все с ним было хорошо.
As always, I wish him luck in his team, and as always, I will go to church every Sunday like I always do, and I will put candles for him and his team to make sure he's healthy during training and comes into the ring, you know, healthy and with a positive state of mind.
Я не думаю о том, как сохранить титул. Я не боюсь его потерять. Если Крис придет и заберет его у меня, я ему отдам и пожму руку. Я думаю только о том, как я стал чемпионом мира. Именно это тяжелее.
Right now, I don't think about protecting the title, and I'm not afraid of losing the title. I still have it in my mind of how I got the title, how I became world champion. If he's going to come in the ring and be worthy and take the title, I'll give it to him and I'll shake his hand if he can do it. But for me, I'm not worried about losing it. It's all about achieving it, and I still have that in me in this fight.
Ну и спасибо всем вам, что вы сегодня сюда пришли и не остались равнодушными к этому бою. Увидимся 14 июня.
Thank you to all you guys who are here today. It's a big honor. If you guys are here, that means you guys care, and I hope I see everybody June 14th.
Thank you.
Thank you guys again. I just want to, reiterate a little bit. Thank you for coming out. There's a lot of people here. This arena. It's the first time we're here. We've been to New York, but we didn't see the arena before. I think, last time we were here, maybe it wasn't built even, but it looks very nice. And we hope that this might be a place that becomes kind of like a home, a second home for Ruslan. There's a lot of a big Russian community in this area, and we're looking forward to the fight. We're hoping there's going to be a lot of fans. Chris has a big fan base, Ruslan has a big fan base, and we're very excited. Just got off the flight this morning. We're a little bit tired because we didn't sleep tonight, but we're going to get some sleep and we'll be more positive in the next press conference. Thank you all.
Dean's right, it's a great arena. I saw the inaugural fight here with Golden Boy. It was terrific. It's great. So right now, we'd like to open up for anybody have any questions for the athletes. Anybody would like to ask some questions?
Michael Woods from ESPN New York. My question first for Chris. Chris, can I get your prediction? What's going to happen June 14th?
I don't like to predict fights. I like to go out there and prepare the best that I can and go out there and perform. Boxing is a kind of sport that you really, you can never tell what's going to happen. And people always ask me what's the right way to do something in the sport, and I tell them there's a lot of different ways to make it work, and whatever works is the right way. So whatever way it takes for me to win, that's what's going to happen.
And question for Ruslan. Ruslan, same question, please. Your prediction, what's going to happen June 14th?
You have another one?
Я всегда говорил, что я не могу вам обещать то, что я выиграю. Я могу, потому что и так, как я всегда отвечаю свои слова. Я всегда говорил, что я сделаю все для того, чтобы выиграть. Вот это я могу вам пообещать. И я вам сейчас это обещаю.
Because I can never, just likewise, I can't make a prediction because I always answer for what I say. I will never throw out words out there that I don't know if I can make that happen. But I can't promise that I'll do everything to win this fight. We'll see what the outcome will be.
Anybody else?
The studio Lois Jr. Blackstar News. Ruslan, with the Bradley fight, you went all out and almost knocked him out and beat him like a piñata. But your downfall could have been because that you didn't box. Now, are you going to utilize these weapons now with a boxer like Algieri?
Безусловно, я с каждой подготовкой прогрессирую, расту, то есть у нас со мной в тренировочном лагере всегда один из лучших тренеров мира. Он в прошлом году также стал рекордный 6-й раз лучшим тренером года, это уже говорит о многом. Так что вы видели, какой я был в бою с Брэдли, какой я был в бою с Альварадо. Я расту, я стараюсь, я отдаю себя всего на подготовке. Так что с каждым боем я становлюсь как вино все лучше и лучше.
every fight, every camp, I progress. You know, you probably saw it from my fight with Bradley to the fight with Alvarado. There was progress, and I felt it, and I know that I grew. There's in my corner is one of the best trainers in the world, Freddie Roach. You know, last year in 2013, for the 6th record time, he became the Hall of Fame trainer again. You know, right now we started training. I'm already feeling there's new things being added all the time, and yes, definitely I'll add whatever I can to my training to become better.
Okay, Doc Stanley, Sports Step Block Talk Radio and the Justin Garvey Network. 2 questions. 1, how does he feel fighting in New York? And 2, can he see himself going to 147 and maybe being part of the Mayweather sweepstakes?
Yeah, for Ruslan? Yes, sir.
Мне очень нравится драться в Нью-Йорке, я здесь ни разу не дрался, но я знаю, что у меня здесь очень много фанатов, и мне хочется сделать для них праздник. А что касается подняться выше, без проблем. Я еще раз говорю, что я всегда отвечаю, если мне судьба бросает вызов, я его беру.
Once again, I'm very happy to be fighting in New York. I actually haven't fought here yet, but I know that I have a lot of fans in New York, and I'm very glad to be here. As far as 147, 100%. I already fought at 147. It's a good weight for me. And besides the weight, if my life gives me an opportunity, I've shown before, I'm always willing to take it. That's what I look for.
TheGoldbergReport.com for Allegra. You were a kickboxer and now you're a boxer. How does that, does it help you or hurt you as a fighter? And which is worse, taking a kick or a punch?
You know, people ask about my kickboxing all the time and how it actually helps me in my boxing. And I think the best way that it's helped me is that I had a lot of tough fights when I was a kickboxer. I was in some really rough and tumble matchups. And, you know, people haven't seen me do that in boxing, but it's in there. I've been there before. I don't get frazzled when things start going haywire. So, and even though I haven't been in those kind of situations in my boxing career, I have been in them in fight sports. So I know what it's like to be in a rough fight. And when it comes to getting punches versus kicks, kicks are a lot harder than punches. I've been hit by kicks where I thought I was in a car accident. So, you know, I would definitely say that kicks do hurt more.
This question is for Ruslan. We saw the Pacquiao's fight versus Bradley, and your fight versus Bradley. Bradley's face looked a lot worse after your fight than Pacquiao. My question is, how do you feel about the Mayweather fight? Do you think you're ready, physically, mentally, as far as skills go?
Знаете, ты никогда не можешь знать, готов ли ты с кем-то драться, если и выиграть, если ты не выйдешь в ринг. Все говорили, что я просто проходной боксер для Тимоти Брэдли, да, но когда я вышел в ринг, особенно после боя, все обо мне заговорили. Поэтому я готов, еще раз говорю, я открыт для всех больших боев. Я готов подняться в любую весовую категорию в пределах разумного, чтобы встретиться с любым сильным боксером. Я этого только и ждал, и этого только и хотел, поэтому так поздно бой этот у нас так долго я и не дрался, потому что я ждал больших боев, я не хотел выходить с посредственными соперниками, но я благодарен Крису, что он сделал этот бой.
Like I said before, the fight with Bradley, you know, they considered me a complete underdog. He was supposed to run right through me. We saw what happened in the fight, like you said. The Mayweather fight, until you get in the ring with any good opponent, you don't really know if you're at his level. You know, the fight would show. And again, I'm ready to fight at almost any weight class, you know, within reasonable limits. And I think that the Mayweather fight, I'm definitely open to the Mayweather fight. The reason that I haven't been in the ring since October is because we were looking for one of the bigger opponents in the game. But I'm still glad that we got Chris Algieri. I'm glad that he took the fight, and I think this is going to be a good fight also. It's going to be at the level.
This will be the last question, and then the fighters will be ready to take some pictures.
Jerry Glickman, seconds out. I'd like to ask really both men, what do you expect from each other that night? What do you expect to see, Mr. Ruslan and Chris? Chris, go first.
Ну, я видел только один бой Криса, мельком посмотрел. Мне этого было достаточно. Я видел, что он очень быстрый, хороший боксер на ногах, который будет двигаться. Я надеюсь, что я думаю, что я жду от него того, что он будет меня двигаться, бегать, держать меня на дистанции. Вы знаете, я никогда не ищу легких путей. Для меня этот боксер, он намного сложнее, чем боксер, который выйдет со мной рубиться. Поэтому мы взяли этот бой. Я хочу доказать еще раз, что я не могу не только драться с теми боксерами, которые со мной рубятся, но и те, кто умеет боксировать.
I only watched one of Chris's fights yet, Barclays, and I saw his style. You know, I'm expecting that he's quick on his feet. He's got quick hands. I'm expecting for him to move. You know, I think he will be moving in the ring. That's what that type of a fighter would do against me. I think, and that's one of the reasons I chose this fight. I never look for easier fights or easier ways in life. I actually, for me, it's always better to fight the guy that's going to brawl with me. I mean, I win those fights. But I chose this opponent because I think that, for me, it's a challenge, and I think it's going to make for a better fight.
Ruslan is a great champion, and I know he's going to train very hard, and he's going to come on fight night and bring what he always brings. I think that everyone's saying about the style matchup and how different we are. I think me and Ruslan actually are similar in certain ways. We both break our opponents down. He breaks them down by beating them down. I break them down by outthinking them and making them feel that they really just don't have a chance to even win. And like I said, we're very different, but at the same time, it's all about who can break the other man's will. And I think on June 14th, we're gonna see a testament of two guys trying to break each other's will, one way or another.
I want to thank everybody for coming. Just one announcement before we have the fighters do the pictures. The tickets will go on sale on Thursday at 10 a.m. The doors will open at 6, the first bout at 7, and on HBO at 10 o'clock. Thanks everybody for coming. Now the fighters will be ready for a photo op. Thank you. Thanks guys.
Where's the PR guy? Tell him to be down